What is up, my friends? The good news is your weekend has officially started and you are very welcome along to Friday's Late Night Agenda. Tonight we're going to be talking about the terrible treatment of not just Liverpool fans but travelling fans headed over to Galatasaray. We'll discuss a little bit about centre-backs and Liverpool's search through them because if you're listening to the media, we ain't gone in for Mark Gay in January, so I'll tell you more about that in a little while. We'll talk about, well, do we believe that or not? Some possible other alternatives. We'll give you some words from Cody Gakpo as well as he speaks about Isak settling into the new season, of course, life at Liverpool. We'll give you the good news on Federico Chiesa, who is now officially included in the Reds Champions League squad. And then we'll talk about next week's game against Chelsea as one of their massive players has been ruled out of it. So lots to go through. As always, the floor is yours. The platform is yours. Do let me know what you'd like to discuss. And don't forget tomorrow, of course, the Reds in action with our first 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff of the season. We'll be live from 1:45 p.m. to take you through the game. I know I'm going to be inundated with questions about where to watch it. You're going to have to find a way creatively, I'm afraid, if you live in the UK. For me, I'm very fortunate. Here in Ireland, the game will be on Premier Sport, so I'll be able to watch it, well, without any hassles and hopefully keep you guys up to date on what is going on. Tomorrow we'll have our match reaction, player ratings video, all the usual stuff you would expect. And we'll also have an Anfield Agenda podcast episode that we're going to put out tomorrow night at 10:30. And I will have a late night agenda as well. So a busy day in store. Right, let's get cracking. Scotty boy. Look at this, 53 months, sir. 53 months as a member. Absolute legend. Thank you, Scotty, as always. Said, good evening, you legend. Take a bow, sir. I'm actually nervous for tomorrow. How's the family? Family are good. Yeah, thank you, mate. Family are good. Daughter passed the driving test this week, so delighted for her. But, yeah, I don't think you're on your own being a bit nervy about tomorrow. You know, I've been chatting away with fans as I do and reading up as I do on Liverpool fan opinion, and I think everybody is a little bit nervous about tomorrow's game. I'd seen Scott Engerson in the chat bring it up as well. I think it was Scott who said, am I the only one nervous about tomorrow? I don't think you are, dude. I think it's understandably going to be a difficult game. They're on a 15-16 game unbeaten streak. Obviously, there's the whole Mark A situation there as well. And Crystal Palace, at the best of times, is not an easy place to go and get 3 points. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, you got to be realistic as well and say to yourself, we're not going to stay perfect all season. So when the time comes that we do drop points, you know, try to take it graciously. Easy saying that. You know me, I don't like Liverpool dropping points, but it's going to happen at some point. I think with these things, it's normally just a matter of how it happens. If we were to go 2-0 down early doors, score 2 and leave there with a point, you'd feel pretty good about life. If it was the other way around and we went 2 ahead, conceded 2 and drew, you'd be asking the questions again. So I guess, Scotty, I'm nervous, but looking forward to it as well. Stevie boy, how are we, sir? Said it's a big risk if Liverpool ignore the January transfer window. More worrying, Slot keeps telling us we have options. So, I mean, let's get straight to one post that kind of worried me a little bit, to be honest with you, Stevie boy. And that one came in, was attributed to Paul Joyce of the Times. And it said, Liverpool will not try to sign Mark Gay in January as it's not their approach to pay a significant transfer fee 5 months before they can recruit a player for nothing. That strategy seems unlikely to change even after Giovanni Leone's injury. Liverpool's strong hope is that nothing will change in Mark Gay's mind during the summer and he will move to Liverpool next summer. So I'm okay with that on its own merit. But we can't ignore the January transfer window because, yes, waiting for Mark Gay, getting him for free if Liverpool are confident in that, totally understand that. But we still need to look at the replacement then for Canade if he's not going to sign a new deal because we cannot go through the season. And, you know, I only spoke about this last night, Stevie boy. We need to learn from the failures of the past where we didn't bring in centre-backs when we needed them and we tried to, well, we brought in the likes of Ozan Kabak and Ben Davies, which was just a waste of time and money. We did it with Arthur Melo in midfield previously as well. So we can't. We just can't ignore it. It's going to be a full year, according to Warner, before we see Leone back, or the guts of a year. So, you know, that's a long time. And of course, he'll be back and hopefully back to his best. He's a young player to recover from it. But I don't buy this we have other options line from the manager because, you know, like I said, we've seen Fabinho at centre-back before. We've seen Henderson at centre-back before. We've seen Grafenberg. I don't like it. I don't like these players being taken out of their better positions. And I always just ask myself the simple question: would we buy this player in this position in the market? And if the answer is no, I don't want him playing centre back. It's straightforward for me. But we'll have to wait and see what the club have in store. Brad said, hey bro, have a great time at Anfield, my man, for the United game. Which stand will you be in, by the way? We are in the King Kenny Dalglish stand. I think we're in it's either the 7s or the 8s lounge. I can't remember which one, to be honest with you. But yeah, buzzing for it. Cannot wait to go over it, Brad. And thank you for the kind words. Dark Ruby said, to be honest, my starting 11 for tomorrow would be Alisson, Bradley, Kanade, VVD, Robbo, McAllister, Gravenberg, Wirtz, Salah, Isak, Chiesa. There's absolutely no chance in hell Chiesa starts that game tomorrow. We've been saying this, talking about this all week. If Chiesa hadn't have played the full 90, perhaps. But we've got to be realistic about it. We can't just throw players in there because we like them or they played well. The whole point of these guys having a rest midweek was that they'd be fresh for the weekend. So to then throw in a player like Chiesa, who no doubt had a brilliant game and God deserves every bit of praise that's coming his way, but you have to use the benefits of the players that you've rested, or it's just been a wasted exercise. So yes, Cody Gakpo probably hasn't been in his best yet this season, but we know his form will turn and we know he'll chip in with his goals. I think it would be really foolish of us if we didn't go with a front three that included rested players and Isak, of course, that we don't really have much of a choice with, because, Ekitike got himself sent off. So for me, I'm expecting Salah on the right, Gakpo on the left, Isak through the middle. The real question, though, I would say Dark Ruby comes in midfield. And that's where I think I've seen a few differing comments about what lineup Arna should go with in that area of the pitch. Right. So let's get back into the chat. I hope you guys had a chance to watch the preview, by the way. In the end, I ended up going for a 2-1 Liverpool win because I wanted to be an optimist. But honestly, I was really close to going with a draw. And if we do draw tomorrow, I'm not going to be surprised by it. I hope we win. I want us to win. We're capable of it. But it is going to be a difficult game. I remember something stuck in my head when we were talking with Steve on the podcast, and he said he's waiting for that performance from Liverpool. That one awesome display that just shows that we are a cut above, that we have stepped up and brought in the best. And, hopefully we can see that tomorrow. Fingers crossed that we can. From their perspective, from the Crystal Palace perspective, I think they've got a couple of players who've been made fit for the game that were worries. So that should give their manager, Oliver Glasner, a bit of a boost. Let's see what happens from our perspective. I think Ismail Sarr was one of the players that's been cleared to play for them tomorrow. Right, let's run a poll on what people think the result will be. I think that'll be an interesting poll for this one. So let me just get this written out 1 second. Right, so let's just go with okay. Sorry folks, just writing out these answers. You know me, I'm too dumb to be able to manage to do two things at once. Right, so honest feeling, not what you want. How are you feeling about tomorrow's game? What do you think the result's going to be? A Liverpool win, a draw, or a Palace win? It'd be interesting to see what the result is here. Usually, it's a landslide towards a Liverpool win in these polls. But honestly, I wouldn't blame anybody who clicked draw either, because I do think it's going to be a difficult game. Right, let's keep going. Isak to score, said Alex Macklin. I think so. I think he'll do it tomorrow as well, mate. I do. Alongside him, I don't really know whether I have a feeling it might be Gakpo's day to grab himself a goal tomorrow. But yeah, I think Isak as well. Like I've always said, as long as we win, don't mind who scores. You could make a very good case for Mo scoring, of course, as well. But while you guys are voting on that, shall I give you the daily little bit of a laugh at Mikel Arteta in Arsenal? Because, it's becoming a habit now. It used to be United, but, they're nowhere. So let's talk about Arsenal. Despite all the protestations of Mikel Arteta for his style of football and it being, not defensive, shall we talk about their open play XG this season? So not from their set pieces, not from penalties, corner, free kicks. Let's look and contrast Arsenal's open play expected goals so far this season. So we'll give you some context. Going back to the 2021 season, they had an average XG per game of 1.06. So they're expected to score a goal a game. 21-22, a little bit higher, 1.13. 22-23, 1.42. So nearly averaging 1.5 goals and 1.5 expected goals per game there. Then we've got 1.44 in 23-24. 24-25, 1.14. So going back a little bit less. And this year, the one where he doesn't understand the criticisms of his handbrake-on style of football, Arsenal's XG from open play so far this season, 0.62. So that is less than half of 23-24 and 22-23. It is about 60... No, not even 60%, is it? No, it's about 56% or so of last season's. But yeah, he still feels like they are attacking. He's deluded, like I said. And I know I talked about stats, but these aren't my stats. These are the good folks at Sky Sports who came up with these. And I'm banking that they would have a far better grasp on stats than this idiot. Lewis Edgerly said, how about a prediction when we'll get our first clean sheet? No. God. I mean, I'd like it tomorrow, but it's going to be difficult. So is Chelsea away. So is going over to Galatasaray. So yeah, mate, it's a good question. It could be, like as someone said there in the chat, Stargirl, it could be a 0-0 draw. It's a difficult place to get a goal. Look, I think they're struggling with centre-backs. I think the only one they have available, is Mark Gay, and they've got other concerns there. So I think they're struggling to put out enough defenders. So depending on how we start and, of course, what selection the manager makes, it'll be interesting to see if we can pinch an early goal, what way Palace go about trying to come after us. Craig, how come we're not going in for Gay in January? Again, this isn't something to get angry at old me about, nor am I saying that you are, but I'll read it out again for people who may be coming in a bit late. Paul Joyce has been quoted as saying, Liverpool will not try to sign Mark Gay in January as it's not their approach to pay a significant transfer fee 5 months before they can recruit a player for nothing. That strategy seems unlikely to change even after Giovanni Leone's injury. Liverpool's strong hope is that nothing will change in his mind during the season and he will move to them next summer. But I don't know if I believe this or not. And again, it's not because I think Paul Joyce is lying, no. But I did say to you guys, I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool briefed that they've no interest in going in for Mark Gay in January, because they don't want to be raked over the coals and fleeced for a price. So whether this turns out to be true or not, I guess only time will tell. But I can also understand the logic of not wanting to throw money at the problem. But if we have an injury at centre-back to Canade or to Virgil, let's say Virgil, the more worrying one obviously, I don't see how you can't go into the market and have to bring in a centre-back, whether it's Mark Gay or somebody else. You could make a valid argument we should be doing that anyway. But the difference between maybe winning a league or a Champions League has to be worth more than 15 or 20 million quid, if that's what it cost in January. So we're going to have to hang on and see here, but it definitely, that's the word at the minute, that Liverpool aren't going. Now, it's important to point out that the only thing there was Mark Gay. It doesn't say Liverpool aren't going to go into the market. Liverpool don't look to bring someone in January. It just says Mark Gay. So let's wait and see. 1-2 said, I'm so angry about this. We're playing chess when we should be playing checkers. We need a centre-back badly now. We have such a good opportunity right now to win multiple trophies and dominate. So I absolutely agree with you, by the way. I'm not trying to push back on what you said, but there's two things on this, right? One, we are still perfect and unbeaten. We can't forget about that one. Two, how much game time was Leone realistically going to get in the league over the course of his first year? I don't know the answer to that, but if you look towards the early squads of the season, there was some of them that he wasn't involved in. So if you think about it that way, I could get the manager's point. But you are rolling the dice on an injury. So if you do pick up that injury, then we're in trouble. Because I don't want Grafenberg playing centre-back. I want him playing defensive midfielder. I don't want Endo playing centre-back, full stop. So I do get what you're saying, but like, this is what we're being told in the media, so we got to just wait and see. Pancake Friday said, "Hey Craig, a bit late. Sorry if this has been said. No chance Chiesa starts. I think it'll be Gakpo." I've said as much all week. Said it in the preview as well. I agree. He played 90 minutes. His first 90 minutes, I think, of the season. There's just no way that after resting players, you then undermine resting them by going out and putting in somebody. So I think, like you, it'll be Isak, Gakpo, Salah. I think Chiesa will get time. I think he'll come off the bench and get minutes. Obviously, Ekitike is not there, so whether those minutes come centrally or whether they come on the left-hand side, we'll have to wait and see. What do you think? I feel like Palmer and the Chelsea manager are at odds. I don't know enough about the day-to-day stuff at Chelsea, mate, to talk about it, but like Cole Palmer seems to be picking up a few knocks. You think that's fair to say? This report from David C. Kopp said that he's out for 2 to 3 weeks, and I think that's been mentioned across multiple outlets today. So look, it's a benefit for us when we play them. Like I said, you never wish an injury on a player, but he does seem to be picking up a few, and I don't know if it's because of the Club World Cup stuff. I don't know if it's because of the workload he's already faced, but Chelsea and others are starting to see injuries come quick and fast. So this is why I'm very grateful that we have the likes of Ruben Peters at the club. Carl, LFC, you'll never walk alone Dangerfield. Thank you, bro. 13 months as a member as well, Carl. Appreciate you. Said, we can't depend on Gomez. He's injury prone. So, apart from the injury prone thing, Carl, which, again, is a fair point, his form would worry me more than the injury concerns, because I thought he was abysmal in the League Cup, like really poor. I know people say he made a block at the end of the game and all, but I can count 5, 6, 7 times that he was either dispossessed, caught in possession, or played the pass to another player that wasn't a Liverpool player. So that would concern me as well. It's just really, really unfortunate. If it was a hamstring or something, we'd say, oh, okay, well, we can get through it. But a year for young Giovanni it's so unfortunate. Robin, thank you again. Said Palace is getting a beating tomorrow. Yeah, maybe. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. But it's not going to be easy. I hope we make it look easy. God, it'd be lovely, wouldn't it? If all of a sudden we go out there and win. And do it comfortably. Imagine leaving there winning by 2 or 3. Nice, relaxed, comfortable evening. Not too shabby. So to everybody in the chat, the 6-7 thing isn't anything. There's nothing to get. That's the point of it. Yeah. So don't try to figure it out or find sense with it. There is no sense to it. It's just a bit of fun. 6-7. It is what it is. It's not going to wind me up at all. People are free to type away all they want, but don't look for meaning in something that has no meaning. Right, let's keep moving. Let's hear from Cody Gakpo. And he said, belief is the start of something great, and I think we have great belief in ourselves and in the team. I hope it may continue. We also have that feeling on the pitch that somehow we find a moment to create a big chance and hopefully score. That's what we're looking for all the time, and that's what we're looking to do tomorrow again. Now, I don't know if you guys seen the video earlier on today, but we talked about a statement that was put out by the Spirit of Shankly. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read it out to you guys because I think it's really important. You've often heard me say, this week it's us, next week it'll be somebody else. And to be fair, this isn't just a Liverpool supporters issue. This is a problem for travelling fans, full stop, and particularly going over here to play Istanbul, according to this statement, to play in Istanbul, excuse me. So I'm going to read this out to you and see what you guys think. So, the statement is, Galatasaray versus Liverpool FC. Spirit of Shankly have met repeatedly with Liverpool FC to raise serious concerns about the conditions being imposed on supporters in Istanbul. The club have pressed hard on our behalf, but have been ignored. So, firstly, well done to the club for listening to the supporters and trying to resolve it. But as you can see, Spirit of Shankly said that the club's requests have been ignored. We remain deeply disappointed that in 2025, fans are still being forced onto buses without toilets, told to surrender everyday items such as power banks, iPods, and headphones, despite digital-only tickets, and left without absolute clarity on medical exemptions for vital equipment such as inhalers or diabetic supplies. Supporters are understandably concerned. I have to say, I'm an asthmatic. I have my inhaler with me at all times. I couldn't go to a game of football without an inhaler. So, I have a lot of empathy for that situation, and again for diabetics and many others. They go on to say, this is not unique to Liverpool fans, which is why I respect this statement so much. Because Spirit of Shankly here are not just talking about us looking after ourselves. It is, as they said, not unique to Liverpool fans. They go on to say Manchester United and Tottenham supporters face similar restrictions in Istanbul, and we're being warned of potentially worse treatment for fans travelling over to Marseille. After the Paris final in 2022, UEFA commissioned an independent review that produced clear recommendations to ensure better treatment of supporters. Yet what we're seeing here shows that no lessons have been learned. The time undertaken producing that report looks wasted when supporters continue to face seismic failings. Supporters deserve better. We intend to come together with other supporter organisations across Europe to push for meaningful change before these repeated failures lead to serious consequences for fan safety. After this fixture, we will press for answers and accountability from UEFA, who cannot continue to ignore these failures. So, what are your thoughts on that? Because as they said, we all heard the spiel after Paris. We all heard what they were supposed to be doing. And as the Spirit of Shankly have pointed out, this isn't an isolated incident for Liverpool fans. Manchester United fans, Spurs fans and others have already faced this. And it's not great, is it? We all know how great our travelling fans are. Like, obviously, Anfield speaks for itself. But every time the Reds go away, the travelling Reds make themselves heard. You've all heard it over the years. You can hear them singing through songs, through games, out-singing opponents, being a real good base of support for the Liverpool players who make, daunting away trips a little bit easier for the Reds. It's just bullshit that they're having to go through this shit. It needs to be sorted out. Or what are you going to do? Just get to a point then where we're all just banning away fans travelling? Or putting so many restrictions, like tit-for-tat restrictions? If UEFA don't have the balls to step up and actually enforce their own recommendations from their own report, then what's the point? Does somebody have to get hurt or ill? This is basic human shit we're talking about, like a toilet, the ability to breathe if you need your inhaler, the ability to, alter your insulin levels as required if you're a diabetic, and many other illnesses that we haven't got a chance to speak about. It's shocking. Shocking. David said, do you think we sign a player in January? So, the think part, I don't know. The hope part, 100%. I hope we sign a player in January. But it would be unfair of me to sit here and say to you that I know we are, because I don't. But I certainly hope, David, that we sign one, because I think we need to. They'll be waiting at the airport when Liverpool players arrive. Be nasty, seen our players, seen it before. Look, I'm a huge fan of Turkish football and their supporters. I've said it to you guys for years. This is not the supporters that are making these calls. This is the club, the police, the city, above supporters' heads. And look, I don't mind supporters going and making things difficult for travelling teams, making it a hostile atmosphere. That's what away days in football is about. But rules are rules at the end of the day. And fan safety and their well-being need to be taken seriously. So, like I said, I'm a huge advocate for Turkish football fans. I think they're brilliant. If I was a player, I'd love to have spent a spell of my career playing in Turkey. It's a country that I love anyway. But I just feel really bad here for travelling fans. I've seen it again in Spain previously as well. I remember heavy-handed tactics from some of the stewards and policing in and around Liverpool, Manchester United games in Europe over in Spain. Hard question, Craig. Hugo or Isak? Easy question. Isak, because Hugo suspended. So very easy question, that one, my friend. Yeah, no Ekitike for this game because he's suspended because of the red card he picked up for a second yellow in the League Cup. Do you think GUEHI will sign for Liverpool in January 2026 next year? The report from Paul Joyce today said that we're not going to sign him in January, but does point to the fact that we hope to sign him on a free next summer. So, no, I guess would be the answer based off what has been put out today. But it is also important to say this could be a negotiating tactic. You know, I've said to you guys before, I wouldn't at all be surprised to see the Reds start to brief some stuff, you know, because they don't want to be raked over the coals. But where K-Days, where I really find it difficult to believe that we 100% won't do it is, it could be a difference to our season to a trophy. And I'm talking a major trophy. So we're losing Mohamed Salah to the AFCON in January. So that's, you know, what is it, 4 or 5 weeks of him gone maybe. We're rolling the dice on not having another injury to a centre-back at a time when the workload is going to be increased. So you have no Giovanni Leone now to be playing centre-back, let's say, against Crystal Palace in the League Cup. So you're going to have to probably either play a first-team player or an untested youngster or play somebody out of position. But either way, from a workload perspective, it has to be worth 15 to 20 million quid if you had to bring in a player in January, if you had to pay for Mark Gay. That has to be value for money because it could be the difference between us winning and not winning a trophy. Now, it's impossible for me or anybody else to sit here and tell you that it would be the difference because that's unquantifiable. You know, we can only talk about hypotheticals. Nor can I say to you, if we did bring him in and we won the Champions League trophy, that we wouldn't have won it without him. But I think for the 15 to 20 million quid type money we'd be talking about, it would be money well spent rather than trying to just cheap it out to get him for free. That's my take on it. But like I said, this is the club's call. Viva Gala said, we will dominate you, you will fear us. So, to quote another Irishman, you'll do nothing. Nothing. Simple as. Nobody fears you, mate. You know? I know Galatasaray fans like to make out the whole welcome to hell shit, but ultimately, bro, one of us has a chance to win the Champions League and the other one doesn't. I'll leave it to you to figure out which one that is. But, you know, you had the chance to come in and be respectful. You've chosen to be a prick, so I will treat you as such. Go fuck yourself. Take care. We will dominate you, you will fear us. Mate, nobody fears Galatasaray. For the love of God, grow up. Galatasaray. Mate, yeah, whatever. But nobody fears you. Laugh at you, but fear you? No, absolutely not. And as I said, I spent a long time before that bigging up Turkish football fandom because I'm a huge advocate for your country and for the fans in Turkish football. But, you know, you get respect when you show it. You showed us none. So as I said, off you pop. Right. They just got beat 5-1 by Frankfurt. Yeah, I know. That's why we're all sitting here shitting ourselves keen. Yeah, you will fear us. No, we won't. We've got Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah, Hugo Ekitike, Alexander Isak, Florian Wirtz. You've got fucking Icardi. Icardi. And that clown that used to be in midfield for Arsenal, who is shite, the Uruguayan fella. And I'm supposed to fear that as a Liverpool fan. Oh, I mean, I needed a good laugh to start the weekend, my friend, so thank you. But yeah, we'll fear nothing and you'll do nothing. We'll revisit this after the game. Paul said, I'm half Turkish, Craig, and appreciate your love for Turkey. Love the country, Paul. Absolutely love it, mate. Going over there next month, like I said. Been many, many times. Have nothing but love for the country and its people and their football fans. Like I said, I'd play in Turkey if I was a player. When I'd seen the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain got over there, I thought, I don't blame him. If I was in his shoes, I'd give it a go as well. Turkish football fans are brilliant. Turkish people are brilliant. But, you know, like I said, he had the chance to come in and be nice and, you know. And we've had lots of cool opposition fans come in and go, look, you know, whatever happens, you know, may the best team win. And that's what sportsmanship is about. But they didn't go for that approach, did they? Osherman could be a problem. Well, he was on the bench today, and I'm sure that was probably resting him for the game coming up against us on Tuesday. But yeah, he was on the bench today in their 1-0 win. I was keeping an eye on their game today. Most football Turkish fans be like that. They're brilliant, mate. I love them. Every time we go over there, I have a good chat with the lads in the shops and stuff about footy. And like I said, absolutely love Turkey as a country. This will be my 6th visit and hope to have many more. Boeing Zebedee, how are we, mate? Said Craig, my gran Morat Tierney used to have a word for them as well. Egypt. I just don't get it, you know? Like, firstly, you know, saying it to me is hardly going to get in the head of Arna and the players, is it? Like, 'cause, you know, I'm not Arna, as much as I may look like a wish version of him. So I won't be able to directly tell the players that, but I'm sure they're aware. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff, Nick. 8 p.m. kickoff on Tuesday. Arthur said, LFC can beat Galatasaray with last Tuesday's squad. Look, let's, you know, be respectful. We've got to go over there and earn the right to win. But all I was trying to say to our Galatasaray supporting friend there was nobody's fearing them. Respect is a different word. You know, everyone deserves respect. You don't get into the Champions League and don't deserve respect. But not fear. Craig Hughes said, it's hard to see us getting through to January, Canade and Virgil having to play 2 games a week at times. Well, we're going to have to utilise Joe Gomez at some point. We're just going to have to. Whether Arnold does that, I don't really know. Like I said, these international breaks may somewhat help us out because at least it helps us limit how many games we're playing till January. So we'll have 2 weeks break coming up. We'll have another 2 weeks break in November and then December into January. And you would hope that the club will look to move quickly if they do in the market. Right, we have Graham Souness. I remember that, Carl, him going and planting the flag in the middle of the pitch. Yeah, that was a funny moment in football, all right. Right, let's check in on our poll. So we asked you, honest feeling on the game against Palace, Liverpool win, draw, or Palace win. Do vote away on that one and let us know what you're thinking. Right, let's get into another link. TBR Football have been credited with this. The Transfer News Live posted it. It said Nottingham Forest have issued a hands-off warning to clubs who are interested in Elliot Anderson. Liverpool and Manchester United are tracking his progress and Newcastle would love him back. Forest paid over £30 million for the England midfielder back in July 2024 and he's now worth way more. Thoughts? Elliot Anderson? You know, if you had... You know, let's put this to a poll in a minute, but Elliot Anderson... I'm going to say no. I would rather bring in Adam Morton than him. And look, like I said, I don't watch too much of Forest other than when we played them, particularly obviously under Ange Postecoglou. I haven't really seen that much of him, but I would personally prefer Adam Morton if Liverpool were to look for a homegrown player. David said Elliot Anderson is more of an 8. In that case, we don't need an 8. You know, I really, really, really don't think we need an 8 whatsoever. We need a 6, a backup 6, or a rotational 6. Yeah, look, we've Jones, Maka, Soboslai, Wirtz, Leone coming through. Obviously, Gravenberg a bit deeper. I don't think we've any issues other than maybe that bit of depth And we don't know what the situation is with Bajcetic either. Charlie said, I fear vegetables more than Galatasaray. Well, I'm probably there with you as well, mate, because, I fear vegetables anyway. I think that's pretty obvious. Harty said, just off topic, Craig, where do you rank Harry Kane as a player? An outstanding goal scorer. Outstanding. Like, how could you not think Harry Kane is top notch? Another good Irish man out there playing for England, doing well. Like, so, yeah. Honestly, I often sit back and think Kane could play for Ireland. Bellingham could play for Ireland. Grealish, obviously. Rice. There's a few players throughout that England team that, could have donned the Irish green. Well, some of them did. No, but look, in all honesty, Harry Kane is a top-notch striker. Never wanted him at Liverpool. Never really was able to take to him or like the fella. But respect the hell out of what he's done and the amount of goals that he scored. He's a goal-scoring machine. Will I be streaming tomorrow night? Yep, I will. So the plan for tomorrow is that we will do the watch-along, have our match reaction, player ratings video. Then we're going to jump on and record a podcast. That'll come out at about 10:30, and then I will stream from about 8:30 probably tomorrow night till about 10:15. So yeah, busy day tomorrow, but I want to try and get as much work in as I can before I go away on my break, and I've been recording that little series of videos for you as well. Last night I recorded the video around stats, our stats ruining football fandom. So I recorded that, I recorded the video about my take on FSG, and tonight I'm going to record one about the multi-club model. ADHDJ, how are we, Jay? Said, what if Liverpool buy 2 defenders? First, not Gay, signaling to Palace, we don't want Gay, then buy him for a good price. Liverpool, 2 top defenders. So, in all honesty, the 2 defenders part, I'm right with you. Like I said this, I'm not sure if you were with us, Jay, at the start of the stream, but I said that I could understand Liverpool wanting Mark Gay for free at the end of the season if they want to go into the market in January and get somebody else. Because we still don't know what's happening with Canade. So let's talk in the hypothetical term here. Let's say Canade doesn't agree a new deal and it looks like he's heading off at the end of the season. Well, then I think you could still make that argument. You've got Mark Gay to come in, not sure about Gomez's long-term future, Van Dijk, Leone was out for a year but will be coming back in eventually. So it still makes sense to me that you could get the 2 centre-backs you're speaking about. I just don't expect 2 in January. But I really am adamant that we should be bringing in 1. And then if it's Gay at the end of the contract for free, happy days. Any news on Bastoni? So there's some links, but nothing that I would say is concrete. Like there was talk yesterday as well around Liverpool being linked with Bastoni, but I'm yet to really meet a Liverpool fan who believes that link or thinks that Bastoni will be gettable from Inter. So yeah, on that one, like I said, we've been linked with them. They were writing about it in Italy a little bit, but I don't know of anything else in the last 24. What's happened to Calvin Ramsey? So I can't remember if he's on loan or he's with the 21s. He's still a Liverpool player. He had a horrendous run with injuries. But at the moment, honestly, can't remember if he's on loan or if he's with the 21s. I want to talk for a second about Rio and Gamoa. There was some people wondering why his contract was only 3 years. And I have to admit, I wondered myself at first. So I went and did a bit of research on it. So the reason that Rio Ngamoa only signed a 3-year contract is because that's all the club are legally allowed to get him to sign. Players who are 17 who are signing their first professional contract can only sign a 3-year contract. It's part of UEFA or FIFA's rules. Now, it doesn't mean when he turns 18, Liverpool can't revisit this contract and extend it when he's 18, then give him a big pay bump. And look, you would expect Rio to be signing better terms soon enough anyway. But that is why the contract he signed is only for 3 years, because it's all that clubs are legally allowed to do at that age point and the first professional contract. So that's why he's on £1,000 a week, roughly, for 3 years. But again, I fully expect that when he turns 18, the club will be straight in there with much more improved terms and a longer term deal. Brandfield said, Craig, what happened to Leone? Is it long-term or short-term? Unfortunately, it's long-term. The manager in his press conference today said it's going to be a year, there or thereabouts. Now, obviously, you'd hope in that scenario, maybe get the guy fit for June, July. If he can get a pre-season in for next summer and then ease him back in bit by bit. But confirm with the manager that it'll be probably a year, was his words. Now, you can never put an exact time frame on these things, of course, but it's a serious one. But it also did get confirmation today from James Pearce that CHIESA is now expected to be involved, as he was added to Liverpool's Champions League squad for Tuesday's game and for the remainder of the league format. So that is not that there is an upside to the injury, but just following through, the confirmation is coming out. CHIESA is now part of Liverpool's Champions League squad. Do I believe what Joyce has reported? I believe he was told that. Yes. But do I believe it? I don't know if it's possible to give you an honest answer, because circumstances could dictate a change in this one way or the other. So do I think that, as it sits right now, Liverpool's stance may be that we don't go in January for him? Yes. I believe that that's probably the right thought process that Paul's been told. But like I said, doesn't mean things can't change between now and then. If someone's form drops off, heaven forbid we picked up another injury at centre-back, you can't go through a season with two senior centre-backs if we picked up another injury. That would be absolute stupidity. So, yeah, if it comes down to, once again, us shoehorning somebody in, I'm going to be pretty angry about it, because it's never worked out for us in the past, and I don't see it working out for us now. And what you gain in one area, you lose in another area. So, let's say they move Gravenberch to centre-back. We know what we lose in midfield then straight away. And Endo's not good enough to play for us at centre-back. So, I hope we do. Daniel said, I think he meant to say he's out for the season. Well, mate, I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm just saying what the manager said. What he meant to say, maybe he meant season, I don't know. But he said year. So I agree with you. 6 to 9 months, but then you've got the rehab, and then you've got building up match fitness, and then, so, maybe he meant it could be a year before we see him back in regular match day squads or something. What NFL team do I support? The Green Bay Packers. I actually just ordered a Jordan Love Funko Pop, along with a load of other Funko Pops. So Packers. What colour shirt are we wearing tomorrow? It will be the cream one, to the best of my understanding. We could wear the red one, but I think it'll be the cream one, and the one that would kind of match this. Recall Stevenson or try a cheeky 50 million for Murillo. I don't think. Don't know on the Stevenson thing. Sorry, I was just trying to think. Don't know if there is an ability in the loan deal to cancel it or not. I wouldn't know. But I feel more comfortable with that than shoehorning somebody else into the position. Do I have any Liverpool Funko Pops? The only one I've ordered, because it was the only one I could get on the online store, was the Alisson Becker one, which would have been the one I went for first anyway, coincidentally. So yeah, I ordered. So we've got some cutouts in our wall in our living room, some different shape cutouts. So I'm filling them all full of Funko Pops. And I ordered yesterday Noel Gallagher, Liam Gallagher, Alisson Becker, Tupac, a Stormtrooper, Darth Vader, Jordan Love, and one or two more. I can't remember what they were. I'm looking to get a fluffy one though, but you can only, I think, get them in the States. So I might have to call in a favour from a friend to get a Gabriel Iglesias Funko Pop and an Elma one for my wife. I can't find an Elmo one. So if any of you guys are out and about and you come across an Elmo Funko Pop somewhere and you're out and about, buy it for me. Let me know and I'll reimburse you and sort out the shipping for you if you can, because I got to get an Elmo Funko Pop for the missus, you know. You know she's an Elmo freak. The real Johnny Sin said, Craig, not signing Gay in January is genuinely impactful enough to cost us a trophy or two. Would be, I don't want to use that word, would be crazy for a club of the pedigree of Liverpool to give up silverware for the sake of 15 million. Kind of what I was saying earlier, mate. These are things that are sort of unquantifiable, but I would definitely be on your side of that debate. I'd rather pay the money than roll the dice, because it's a player that you're going to want anyway. So why not try to make it happen? But also, I'd be sure that Crystal Palace, if we did come and knock in, would still talk stupid money, like same money as the summer kind of money. And in that case, I would understand Liverpool waiting. But we do need another centre-back. We absolutely need another centre-back. What's a Funko Pop? So it's like a little plastic figurine with like an oversized head, Dave, basically. Oh, no need to apologise, mate. I know you didn't mean anything by using the word dude. I totally get it. It's a turn of phrase. I just didn't want to read it, but nah, nothing on you, my man. Nothing to worry about there. What's the Bastoni case? As I said yesterday, we've been linked with them, but I struggle to believe it, to be honest with you. It almost feels a little bit too convenient for that story to suddenly go into the media. So yesterday there was a report in Italy that said Leone's injury could see Liverpool move for a centre-back in January, with Inter Milan's Alessandro Bastoni and Juventus's Gleison Bremer two names of interest. So, like I said, let's wait and see. So, again, for everyone asking what a Funko Pop is, would it not have been, like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but would it not have been easier to just put Funko Pop into Google than try to have me explain it again? It's a little plasticky figurine with an oversized head in a box, in a collectible box. Like, they're about $20, €18, stuff like that. Joe O'Neill said, I can see us going for Van de Ven of Spurs. Oh, dude, I'd love him. But again, I can't see that happening. I think we missed the boat on Mickey Van de Ven, but I would have loved him. What really confused me at the time was as well, didn't he come from the club that George Schmadtke's son was involved at, if I'm not mistaken? And I felt like that could have been one we could have got done when Spurs signed him. Dave said, Craig, you need to get a Sloth Funko Pop. I will get every Liverpool one I can, mate, but when I went on the website last night, the only Liverpool one they had on there was Alisson Becker. Connor has a Salah Funko Pop. But yeah, I couldn't see any other ones on there. Wolfsburg, that's it, folks. Thank you. Right, match officials for tomorrow's game against Crystal Palace. I don't know if I ran through this with you during the week or not, but let's go through them now. So the referee is Chris Kavanagh. He's going to be in charge of the game. Referee's assistant, Dan Cook. Referee's assistant 2, Adam Nunn. Fourth official, Sam Allison. VAR, Matt Donoghue. And VAR assistant, the man with the sharpest elbows on the sideline, Konstantin Hadzidakis, who you may remember from throwing an elbow towards Andy Robertson. Someone said there's a big one over my shoulder. There is indeed, yes. If you see beside the Diogo Jota shirt, that's a Funko Pop there. That's a good shout, mate. I forgot there was one behind me. Yeah, so that's a Funko Pop there on the top shelf. Over my Bobby Firmino and beside the Diogo Jota shirt. So, for me, Boeing Zibbity, ordering stuff on Amazon can be a pain in the arse at the minute if it's the UK one, because you've got all the import taxes and fees, but I will certainly have a look on there. Like I said, I'm only starting to build up the old collection now, but the one I really want is Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy, and Elmo. They're the two that I'm on the lookout for. I've already messaged a few mates in the States to see if they can find them. Wow. Jan said the most expensive Funko Pop in the world is the Willy Wonka and Oompa Loompa Golden Ticket 2-pack. The Golden Ticket 2-pack sold for $100,000. Wow. Oh my days. That's crazy. Chada said, I love Gabriel Iglesias. So do I. We went to see him last year when he came over, myself and my missus, and yeah, love him to bits. Right, so Bench Bochak has said, if Ibrahim Kanade does leave Liverpool, Bench reckons that Liverpool should look at Jeremy Jacquet as his replacement. What are we saying to that one? I wouldn't dare think of tuning out of Anfield Agenda to search something on the internet. I love that, Rafa. I love that, mate. Or Raf, excuse me. What an answer, bro. You've won. You've won. Debate over, sir. You win, I lose. Right. Nigel said, Craig, love this channel, learn so much here. Thank you, bro. Thank you. I know it might look like chaos on here at times, but we actually do quite a bit of research for our shows and stuff. But yeah, on this dude, what do we think about him as a defender? Jeremy Jacquet of Lille, I believe. Wesley said, I have a family that works for SS, so I can check on an Elmo Funko Pop. Thank you. That would be awesome. Somebody somebody emailed me about 2 months ago saying, my brother works for Adidas in Germany, and as soon as he comes back from holiday, I'll make sure he sends you over the green Liverpool shirt. So I didn't buy it. Did you think it arrived? No. Which is a shame, because I could have bought it at that point. But thank you, Wesley. That's awesome. Yeah, an Elmo one would be hugely appreciated because, you know, the wife is a big Elmo fan. Do you think Andy Robertson may step in as a centre-back this season if we get injuries at the back? Yeah, that's probable. And look, of all the shoehorned in centre-backs, I would feel more comfortable with Robbo than most. Endo, I don't like the idea of. Gravenberch, like I said, we lose something somewhere else. But Robertson, if Kirkes is up to speed, I wouldn't be against it for 1 or 2 games, but I wouldn't want it for months on end. Because aerially, Robbo, you know, he's not going to be anywhere near as dominant as we'd need. Oh, Wesley, I know you said you're just going to check, dude. Don't worry. This email I was talking about was very matter of fact. Like, it was, yeah. Which is why I always say to you, I don't believe 90% of the stuff we get sent by email. Ryan said, hi, Craig. Hope you're good. Looking at Mark Gay news, I'm not happy. Ibu and Gomez not good enough. Well, so on Canade, I mean, I want to be fair about this. After the first 2 games, I was worried. But I think he's been fine for the next 3, 4. And if he can continue on the path he is, even if he does leave, which again, I'd still like some clarity on, if he can keep performing like he has been, I'm absolutely fine with that. The concern, though, is one more injury and we're up shit creek. And we just are. The concern about Gomez for me is he didn't look great. And look, it's fair to say as well that, you know, limited minutes, to expect somebody to come in to be brilliant is probably unfair as well. And I get that. But I'm nervy. And I think I'm not the only one, right? I think most of us are nervy about the centre-back situation now. Because we were already, in many people's eyes, short. Now we're definitely short. Now look, this isn't something anybody did wrong. It's just unfortunate that Giovanni picked up that injury. And of course, we all wish him a speedy recovery. Charlie said, Craig, for me, my mind is set on Gay. I'm the same, Charlie, which is why I didn't believe any of the Real Madrid stuff that or that he was furious at Liverpool over the move breaking down. I don't believe any of that. I very much do think he will be a Liverpool player. Just don't know when. Owen said, if Bastoni is possible, we have to plunge. He is genuinely world class. I'd also take a DM, preferably Stiller. since he doesn't have the English tax. So for the DM, I actually think the Adam Wharton one makes sense because we could do with some more homegrown players. If we bring in Mark Gay, that will of course help us with homegrown players, as he will be classed as homegrown. Even if Elise came in the future, he'd be classed as homegrown as well. So we need to be mindful of that. Stiller's a very good player. If my memory's right, he is either out with a knee injury or is working his way back from a knee injury. But yeah, on the Elliot Anderson one, no for me. But Wharton I wouldn't mind. But then again, it would be a difficult thing to convince Adam Wharton to come in, knowing that he's probably going to be not playing a lot of the time because Gravenberch is the guy in the big games, especially. Right, so let's try and get this to 1.5k on votes, and we're up to about 1350-ish. Honest feeling on the game tomorrow against Palace: a Liverpool win, a draw, or a Palace win? Craig O'Clock. Dan, how are we, mate? Said, Ibu wants to make the World Cup team. He'll give us 100%. Look, I agree. Like I've said, nobody will ever convince me a player leaving a club, his mind won't wander at times, like I said, but I try to be fair, and what we've seen from Canade in recent weeks has been as we've always seen from him. So I'm more than happy with Ibu and the way he's playing. But I would like to hear him come out to say he wants to stay because, I was reading stuff, a quote from Arteta earlier on. He was talking about William Saliba and the agreement for him and his new deal. And he said he spoke to William Saliba about the noise around in Real Madrid, but he said Saliba indicated he wanted to stay and play for Arsenal. And again, I'd like to hear something similar come out of Canade's mouth. We can all understand that players have a valuation of their salary that they want and their agent. That's never a problem. But I just want to hear the words, I want to stay. My preference is to stay. And the only other person we didn't hear that from is now a Real Madrid player. And this, by the way, worries me. So Bill, they're still saying Liverpool are hoping to sign French international Daya Upamecano when his contract expires in the summer, but Madrid are also interested. I don't want Upamecano. I really, really don't. I think when those two gents both left Leipzig, we got the better centre-back. And I don't want us to go backwards rather than improving, because I think Canada is better than Upamecano personally. Dave said, Craigo, I just ordered you the Mo Funko Pop. I'll bring it to the live show. Oh, that's so kind of you, Dave. I will reimburse you on the night, sir. But that's really kind of you. Thank you, mate. Cool. That'll look good in the collection, bro. Absolute legend. Thank you so much, Dave. You'll actually get to meet Brian for the first time as well, Dave. LFC USA. He's coming to the show. I'm flying over from Dublin to Liverpool with him, his brother, and his brother's wife. Do you think we should call Chimikas back? No, not for me, Paul. The Stevenson one was an interesting show from earlier on. I don't know if there is any ability for Liverpool to look at Lucas Stevenson's contract and see if they can recall him. I would rather that than Costas or some of the other options we've spoken about. Is Bruno Man United legend? Yes or no? Not for me to say. Yeah, that's a question I think only Manchester United fans can answer. The fact that he fought so hard to stay there when the club could have got 100 million from would certainly put you in a good standing with the fan base, right? If that was one of our players and there was 100 million on the table and the player said, no, I want to stay, you'd feel good about that, right? So, like I said, I can't say whether he's a United legend or not. That's for Manchester United fans to say, but I would say no. I would say no. Because if you're looking at that club and legends, well, they win European Cups. They win league titles. Same as Liverpool. Now, Steven Gerrard didn't win a league title, but he won a European Cup. So I would say when you're talking about clubs at the level of Liverpool, Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, legends, we're talking like the peak of the peak here. Your like Salahs, your Emlyn Hughes, your Stephen Gerrards, Kenny Dalglish's, Graham Souness, and on Phil Neal, and on and on and on. Naturalist said, Arsenal fans have been mocking Liverpool since Saliba said he was re-signing his contract. They said Liverpool has no aura as our players all want to leave despite us winning trophies. Yeah, there we are, bringing in Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike, and them all dying to come to Liverpool. Isak going on strike for the summer to get in. Like I said, they're deluded. They should be concentrating on their own fraud of a coach and worrying about handbrake Arteta and his 0.62 expected XG other than set pieces. And also, sincerely, they should be worrying about St James's Park, because that is not going to be an easy game for Arsenal. That's okay. We went there and won, lads, so we set the bar for you. But, you know, big boys do big boy things, like win European Cups. And you should just remind Arsenal fans of that, because they're stuck with Victor Gyökeres up top, who is, I don't know, slight improvement on a Darwin, maybe. But no Isak, no Ekitike, no hope of winning anything with Arteta as manager. A big thing, you know, a big boy trophy. But, like I said, just keep leaving them to it. Their delusion really, really knows no bounds. And, you know, it comes from the top down, because their manager is King Delusional Clown. Or as Lee calls him, Super Mick. And he says that ironically, of course. Thoughts on Busquets retiring in his prime? I didn't even know Sergio Busquets is retired. Is he not still playing for Inter Miami? Last I'd known, Sergio Busquets was playing for Inter Miami, so I didn't even know if he's retired or not. But as a player, I mean, look, what can I say that everybody else wouldn't say? Absolute superstar of a holding midfielder. Incredible, just an incredible player. Give Arteta the handsome door for attracting Saliba to re-signing the contract. I wonder, did he bring in the light switch? Did he bring the bulb in with him again? You know, he loves a corny little fucking jibe, doesn't he? So, yeah, maybe he just brought the bulb in and said, look, I can turn on a light, William. You know what I mean? I can turn on a light, dude. Could you win us a league, Mikel? Not so sure about that. But, you know, we are the best team in Europe, William Saliba. So, you know, sign the deal. Robbo was in a back three last game, gone to Newcastle. Last game wasn't he for periods anyway. He came in, played left side of the back when I don't know if we went to a 3 or if we went to a 4-4-2 and then a 4-4-1. But yes, Robbo did go in to play left-sided centre-back when Giovanni got injured. Robin said, Arteta not good enough to win the league. Like, I keep banging on about the same thing, and I probably sound like a broken record, but you can't claim to be a big club and not hold a manager who's won no trophy in 5 years to account. And spent, I think, $1 billion. No, I know they've reimbursed or they've brought back in money like every other club, but he's been backed. It's not like he's sitting there twiddling his thumbs with no money. He just hasn't delivered. So I don't see how Arsenal fans can think of themselves as a big club but keep backing a failing manager. They ran Wenger out. Remember, Champions League football wasn't good enough. Arsene Wenger delivering that year on year on year on year on year. That wasn't good enough. He was ran out of the club. We demand titles. Do you remember that? Because I fucking remember it. Now all of a sudden, Super Mick, to quote Lee, is there winning SFA. And yeah, they're all happy and loving life and all hail Mick. Sci-Fi said, I've watched the All Reds videos on the Liverpool website and the camaraderie throughout the team is clearly visible. Who wouldn't want to play for us? Wirtz haters just jealous. Exactly. Let me just ask you this question. Can you imagine if Arsenal signed Wirtz, Isak, and Ekitike in one window? Genuinely. Like, we won the league last year. We didn't really lose any senior players, and we've added in those three. So, in what world have they come closer to us? I don't get it. Because if you're already a little bit behind us from last year, how does us buying those three players not make that gap further? So, if they bought those three players, fucking hell, you'd never hear the end of it. Like, they would assume they're winning the quadruple. So, yeah, leave them to it. And also, the one that really gets me wound up is this shite about they were unlucky against PSG. That really winds me up. Because if you look at the three English teams who played Paris Saint-Germain, they did the worst over the two games. Don't need me, look it up. We lost on penalties. Beat them over there, lost at home, lost on penalties. I don't know how they come up with the shit they come up with. It's nonsense. Prime LFC said, Canada needs to be renewed. We can do it if we push. Liverpool's different now. Well, on that actually, something I wanted to bring up to speak about on Canada, and this comes from Romano. He said Liverpool are still trying to extend Canada's contract. In August, they made some new attempts, but at the moment it looks difficult. It looks complicated. Contract still not close yet. So I've still not heard anybody tell us what the change was. Because Romano and others, I think maybe it was Paul Joyce and a couple of others, said that it was close. And this was going back a year now. So forward to now, close has gone to difficult. What's changed? Nobody said what has changed. You know what's changed. I'll fucking say what's changed because, they won't. Real Madrid are in his head. That's what's changed. That has to be it. What other thing could have changed since then? You've won the league, so it's not like the team aren't great. You've just seen the manager and the team go out there and get Wirtz, Ekitike, Kirkes, Isak, Georgi Mamardashvili, Giovanni Leone. So it's not like we're standing still. We're pushing forward. We're building something special with a great coach. So what's changed? I don't know what it is. Does he overvalue himself? Does he maybe think he deserves to be the next leader, captain? Does he have a number that he thinks he's worth that Liverpool won't pay? Although I would dare to say that Liverpool would be willing to pay as much as Madrid would be willing to pay for his wages. But it's very difficult for us to really, and Frimpong as well, yes, of course, Mike, sorry. It's really difficult for us on the outside to know because we don't know the offers, the valuation, we don't know that. But I keep coming back to, what we also don't know is whether he wants to. And for me, the longer people go on and things are quiet and there's still talk of, well, haven't made the mind up yet, I'm starting to smell a trend situation again. And I can't help but feel that way. I'm very logical as a person. Sometimes with Liverpool, I'm illogical in the heat of the moment, but usually I'm quite a logical person. I'll sit down and look at the pros and cons of something and try to figure it out. And then you do the smell test. And it doesn't pass the smell test. Not for me. 3 players last year. 3 who were in this position. And look, we could sit here and have this about Andy Robertson as well. But we've heard Andy Robertson say that he had the chance to leave in the summer and he sat down with his family and decided that they're happy and they want to be at Liverpool. So we've already heard Robbo talk about wanting to stay at the club. And he's in the same position. We heard Mohamed Salah multiple times last year say it. We heard Virgil multiple times say it. The only one we haven't heard saying it is now in Madrid. So I find it a similar situation in my mind. That I think Canada has his mind made up and is dragging it out. That's my gut feeling. And I have to stress it is just a feeling because I don't know. But that's how I see it. Alisson too. No, Alisson has one more year. Alisson's contract is up in 2027. Canade's current salary is 70,000. No, it's 80,000. And Van Dijk gets 300. No wonder he hates your institution. What institution? Like, are you an idiot? Well, no, I'll answer that for you. You are an idiot. So, what did Virgil, Peter, talking about institutions? It's a fucking football club, dude. What did Virgil have to do to get 300 grand a week? He had to become the best defender in British football, Europe. One of, if not the best defender in the world, over multiple times. He didn't come in on 300 grand a week. He got 300 grand a week at the age of 34 or 35 after being the best defender in the world and our captain. What has Canade done to deserve anywhere near £300,000 a week? He hasn't. He's not a £300,000 a week defender. He's on 80 grand a week, according to reports. Any sensible person would say if he got up to 150, 160, that is a huge increase. But I don't know anybody who would say he deserves anything near the money Van Dijk's getting, because he doesn't. Lozu said he will stay at 200k. The way it's gone, I would say 200k might not be off the table, because Liverpool will have to weigh up the pros and cons of this. You know, if you give him 200 grand a week, let's say for 5 years, that's roughly 10 million quid plus the signing on loyalty bonus. I don't know what that will be, but it'll be a few million. So you'll look that up and you think, well, that versus bringing in somebody else, you run the numbers and see. But I just believe if it was 200 grand a week, we'd be at a point where it's at least close. You know, Liverpool may be at 150, 160. He might be at 200. You know, we're not out of the realms of possibility, but we're not hearing that. We're hearing that it's difficult and nothing's changed. That doesn't seem like it's 200 grand a week to me. But, you know, that's just my guessing of the situation. Liam, thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Thank you. I want to just talk about something sort of political for a second, if I may. So, today, a member of NECAP, Mukhara, his case brought against him was thrown out of court in the UK, in Britain. And I want to just say something that isn't really related to any particular country, but please never let your voices be silenced on something that you believe in, whatever that may be. Whether it's, you know, free speech, religious beliefs, sexual orientation, whatever it might be. Please, please, please always stand up for what you believe in and never allow your voices to be silenced, because it's becoming a scary world out there for people who are trying to speak truth to power a lot of the time. And it's worrying. And it isn't an anti-anything. This isn't a pro-anything. This is a from the fucking heart. I'm shocked at where we're at in the world, that people are being pursued and having the weight of justice and legal systems and governments push back against them for speaking up for what they believe in. Whether you agree with what they believe in or not. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of so many people in this generation. You know, we often talk about the young generation and, you know, oldies like me moan about them and talk. But I tell you what, this generation have balls. They do. They're standing up and they're speaking up and they're fighting for what they believe in. And I want you all to know that you're doing the right thing. And I'm certainly proud of you all. Do it. Keep standing up. Whatever your belief systems are, fight for them, stand up for them, because those freedoms are important. They are. Like I said, I'm not trying to get political here, but your freedoms are important. You know, and stand up for what you believe in. Don't cower in the face of threats, pressure. Stand up. It's important. Sci-Fi said R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. Again, not to get into political stuff, but I feel for balance, it's important I address that as well. So I disagreed on a lot of stuff with what Charlie Kirk had to say, but I absolutely respected the hell out of the fact that he'd talk about it and he'd debate people on it. You know, like I said, don't like to do politics, but I do like to say what's right and wrong. And a man being killed in his early 30s in front of his supporters and friends and family for just speaking about his beliefs, whether you agree with them or not, is a fucking travesty. And like I said, I disagreed with a lot what he had to say, but I respect the hell out of the fact that he was willing to dialogue. Because you've seen me on here so many times saying to you guys over the years, the biggest problem we have is when we don't communicate. When we don't communicate, walls go up and misunderstandings happen and people get vilified. On either side of any debate, if you can sit down and talk to somebody, more often than not, we'll all find something in common. And in this current mad world we live in, a lot of people are being pigeonholed. You don't like somebody for one thing, therefore bad person, can't agree with them on anything. I won't live my life that way. Nor should you. You know, you wouldn't have friends. You know, tell me you haven't debated with your best mate, your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister over something or had a disagreement with them. You don't disown them. You talk it through. So more of that, please. More of that. Let's continue to talk. Let's continue to address these issues. Let's continue to dialogue because it's important and it humanizes each other. Again, apologies for that one, but on a day that's in it, I just wanted to say it because I think it's important. Dialogue, love, always wins. Has to win. Stand up for your beliefs. Right. Let's get back to footy. Cody Gakpo has been speaking a little bit about Isak and him coming into the squad, and this is what Cody had to say. I think everybody knows how good he can be. We saw him in the Newcastle team scoring a lot of goals, and hopefully he can do that for us as well. A very good player on the ball, off the ball. I'm very happy that he's here. I still can't believe it. I still think about it now like he is a Liverpool player. It feels so mad. Isak is a Liverpool player. Like it's real. He's here. He's scored. And I have to say I'm very relieved he got that goal. Not because I was worried that it was going to drag on, but it is always nice when your new striker gets off the mark with his first one, isn't it? And I loved as well that Chiesa got the credit from Isak when Isak was speaking. He spoke about the good interception and the pressing from Chiesa to set it up. And this is why, like our friend said earlier on, the vibes around Liverpool are great. And that's why these stories of Ekitike already wanting away and Arsenal fans trying to jump on that and all this other stuff is just bollocks. It just is. Like, as you've said, you can't mock the stuff we see. When you see our players interacting at the AXA or in and around games, there's a great camaraderie there. And there's a great respect there between them all and amongst them all. And that doesn't happen by accident. That happens from a good environment that they work in and having good people there. And those good people don't get to the club by accident either. So 74% said that they would, again, like a win tomorrow or believe a win. So let's ask on the centre-back situation. What am I trying to write here? Okay, so what I'm going to ask you is, do we 100% need, not want, need a centre-back in January? Yes, no, or not sure yet? So if you can, have a vote on that one. We've about 25 minutes left in tonight's stream, so if you can have your say, I would greatly appreciate your feedback. Rafa said, I get the feeling Chiesa is about to deliver the stats of his career season. I hope so. I was so happy he had that game against Southampton, and it was his game. You know, we won't be remembered from us as Liverpool fans. It won't be remembered for Isak's first goal. You know, it may a little bit be remembered for Ekitike's error or his goal, but it will be remembered for Fede's coming out party, because that's what it felt like. It was him arriving finally at Liverpool and saying, yeah, I'm too good now, lads. Sorry. No bench me or leaving me out anymore. I'm here and I'm ready, and let's go. Hayder said, Craig, just joined. What have I missed? Not a whole lot tonight, mate. We're kind of talking about links to some centre backs, and the story that Paul Joyce wrote that said Liverpool aren't planning to go for Mark A in January. We believe we can get him for free at the end of the season. We spoke about a centre back that Ben Spochak reckons we should have a look at if Canade leaves, and that's Jeremy Jacquet. We read out a statement from the Spirit of Shankly about some of the restrictions and how difficult it's been made for them guys and girls going over to Istanbul to get to the stadium, and some of the restrictions being imposed on them. We got the confirmation from James Pearce that Chiesa is now added to Liverpool's Champions League squad and should be included in the travelling group to go over on Tuesday against Galatasaray. And also the confirmation that Cole Palmer has been ruled out by 2 to 3 weeks, so will be out with the Liverpool game next week. Yes, there is news on Giovanni Leone's injury brawl, but unfortunately the manager said today you're looking around a year. Now, as somebody else said, maybe he meant a season, I don't know, but it doesn't look like we'll see him back this season. And it feels as if the aim will be to try and get the kid ready for pre-season and work him back from there. You know, he ruptured his ACL. It's going to be a long road to recovery. I know he's taken to Instagram to thank people for all of their support. And like I said, keep that support coming because he's going to need us. But yeah, unfortunately, it's a long one with the ACL. So fingers crossed he comes back quicker than we expect. But it's going to be a tough next, 6 to 9 months for the kid. Ollie said, I sent that message to United Strand, by the way. I screen recorded it, and he said thank you and he appreciates it. I meant it sincerely. I felt really shitty that happened to the young man. It's just the entitlement of some arseholes these days to think they can go around doing that to someone is mental. The real Johnny Sin said, yes, Craig, we do, because genuinely a centre-back in January will be the difference with at least one competition for us this season in terms of winning it. So a centre-back is a must. I agree, by the way. I have no disagreement whatsoever that we should get a centre-back in January. The only thing I don't mind about is whether it's Mark Gay or not. Because I still think we're in a world where if Mark Gay comes in the future, Canade may leave or Joe Gomez may want to move on in search of more football. So I still think another centre-back down the line could be on the cards. So get that centre-back in January if you don't want to pay the fee for Mark Gay, and then bring Mark Gay in on the free at the end of the season. So either way, I think we definitely need to bring one in January. Zane said, Serie A fans were saying, see, this is what happens when you don't join their clubs. I mean, that's a bit of a leap, isn't it? See, this is what happens. What a freak injury on a challenge to the side of the pitch. To push back, I could say, well, maybe he was tired from Gattuso dragging him over for the Italian training camps when he didn't use him for 1 minute or put him in any of the matchday squads. maybe he could have rested up a little bit there and it would have been a bit better. So, could just as easily flip that around on those Serie A fans. Who's your dream centre-back if we were to get one in January? I'm probably with you guys in the Bastoni camp, to be honest, although I don't see it happening. I don't know much about the Jacquet guy that I think is at Lille, Jeremy Jacquet. I don't know much about him, but Bence Bochak certainly seems to think he's of good standing, and I know Bence is a man who looks into the numbers on these things and statistics and stuff that I'm not intelligent enough to really dig deep on. Paul Beer said, a few years back we had a centre-back problem when VVD was injured. Hope we don't risk it. Yep, and if you remember, mate, we didn't fix it. We brought in Ozan Kabak on loan and Ben Davies. And I think we all know how that one worked out. And then before that again, we had a midfielder situation that Jurgen said we didn't have one until the very end of the window when he suddenly realised that everybody who said we needed a midfielder was right. And what happened there? We brought in Arthur Melo on loan, who we didn't want to keep because we didn't want the option to buy put into the loan agreement. And that didn't work out well for us either. So cheaping out and rolling the dice more often than not hasn't worked out. John said, Craig, do you think we would have sold Jota and kept him if he never passed away? I don't think we'd have sold him, no. I think Arne, look back to last season, Arne always spoke glowingly of Diogo. And I think he thinks, he's a forward he could rely upon. Yes, of course, there were injury concerns, but Arne really, really, and I'm not just saying this, he really did seem to have tremendous belief in Diogo Jota. So, no, I don't think he'd have gone anywhere. Damon said, Craig, I think we'll be seeing more of Endo as a centre-back. I hope not, Damon, because he's not good enough there for us. I know that might sound harsh on Endo, and we all love Endo, but I don't want him playing at centre-back. He's not good enough aerially. He's not good enough full stop at centre-back. I know he's played there for Japan many, many times, and I know he played centre-back in the past, but we wouldn't sign him as a centre-back. That's the way I look at it. If we wouldn't sign somebody in a position, I don't want them shoehorned in there for months if needs be. Get Matip off the couch. I mean, there's something to be said for that. Little short-term deal, Joe. What are you saying? Do you know what? I've not seen anybody else mention that one yet, but now that you say it, Joe, a short-term deal, Joe. Get on the training ground there, work it up. I loved him at Liverpool. I was so unfortunate from that. It was an ACL that kind of ended his time at the club. He never got the proper run of games to have the farewell, but a tremendously good free signing for us when we signed Joel Matip. Ollie said, I can't afford to do super chats, so I feel I should help the channel. Ollie, you never have to send super chats out, bro. Like I've always said, you being here, contributing with comments, watching, being part of our community, that is more than enough for me, sir. Sci-Fi said, whenever Diogo came on, you knew he could smash a football through a crowd of defenders' legs into a mouse hole. Yep, he was clutch, definitely, in those moments. Brawlbot, Craig, do you think Endo should be getting more minutes as a backup to Gravenberch? Oh, see, it depends. I feel like when we play Endo in that position, everything changes because he doesn't play it the same way, because he can't play it in the same way as Gravenberch. So he's combative, check, he can do that. Win the balls, yes. Not the worst in possession, but not the greatest. But he's definitely got the combative part, the positioning part. But he doesn't have the press resistance. He doesn't have the ability to go through the lines for me in the same way Gravenberch does. So I think we're limiting what we're doing in that position if Endo's in it. And we're putting more of an onus on others then to pick up the slack. So I don't like it because too many things have to change when he goes into the role. Adding him in there as, you know, extra support at the end of a game to see it out or whatever. No issues with that. But no, not for me. He's just a very, very different DM to Gravenberch, and I think we lose something. I've seen your comment a few times, Johnny, about Diogo maybe being moved on. Don't know, mate. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. I was only giving my opinion on it as I was asked, and I always felt that there were links to him being moved away. There were even links to him back to Wolves, but Arna always spoke really, really sincerely, impressively about him. Nazar said, do you think Nat Phillips could have possibly been used had he not been transferred out this summer? Or was he not good enough to be a regular? He wasn't good enough to be a regular. He's an honest, good centre-back. Probably playing at the right level with West Brom. Always have that moment at the San Siro as well. But ultimately, no, I don't think Nat Phillips would have been good enough. Like, Reece Williams even being on the bench, I think, is a piss take. So, yeah. But no, Nat would have been closer to being the standard. But I don't think he was there. But a very solid pro. He's the type of lad that, you know, any club at the Championship, whatever, you're getting a good guy there. You're getting somebody who will work hard. Do you think we actually beat Palace tomorrow? I think it's a coin flip. You know, a draw. I'm probably 50-50 on a draw or a narrow win. Genuinely, that's where my head's at with it. The optimist in me went for a 2-1 win in my prediction and my preview. But yeah, hand on heart, I'm probably 50-50 on a draw or a win. Adam said, I don't think we need a centre-back. We are where we are now with who we have. A centre-back we look at seriously should be a project for next year, and Gay is free at that time. I guess the problem, Adam, is we're okay if things stay as they are. But let's look at who's there. Virgil is nearly bulletproof. You know, yes, he had the ACL injury, but other than that, he plays a lot. Canade has been known over his time at Liverpool to have muscle fatigue and strains and knocks, as has Joe Gomez. So we're not exactly talking about 3 bulletproof centre-backs who have a history of being available all throughout the seasons, which is why I'm a bit nervy. SAR game tomorrow always causes problems. Yep, he's been declared fit as well, David, to play in it. Sharkovic said, Craig, I think we should beat them and take a draw at Chelsea. Look, that's another difficult game coming up, of course. But Cole Palmer is ruled out of that game for Chelsea. They also obviously have no Delap. He's ruled out of that game for them. So I'm unsure how to feel about the Chelsea match, because it depends what version of Chelsea shows up as well. You know, everybody is going to want to play their best against us. We've got a target on our backs as the champions. Galatasaray are going to want to prove a point over in Istanbul. Palace are going to want to prove a point again tomorrow. And no doubt Chelsea are going to want to prove a point next Saturday. So, look, if we come out with those 2 games with 4 points, you know, we're going in the right direction. And it'll be another few games ticked off. Like, let's say we're sitting here Saturday night next week talking about 4 points over the 2 games. I'll take that. Absolutely take that in the league with where we are. Only dropped 2 points from the first 7 at that point. I mean, come on, that'd be pretty damn good, right? Damon said, would you take a punt and re-sign Matip for a season? Well, somebody mentioned it earlier on, and honestly, I'd never given it much thought until the gentleman mentioned it earlier on, but I guess the answer to that would depend on what type of shape Matip is in and could get into, but it's certainly an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, it's an interesting one. And if you think you could get him into a state of match fitness, or even able to give you 30-40, I wouldn't be against it. It would be nice. It would be like a kind of a nice little return for him, wouldn't it? Robbie Fowler-esque kind of thing, except Fowler, of course, was still playing when he came back. But yeah, it would be an interesting one. Stargirl, appreciate you. Said as always, been a great show. Thank you. No, thank you, my friend, for your continued support. Always appreciate it. I know we don't email back and forth anymore because I don't have access to the accounts, but I did enjoy a little exchanges when we had them. Just yeah, I feel really guilty about not being able to answer emails for anybody anymore, but I just have to do it with the police situation and that. I wanted to show you guys something actually. I'm not sure how I can bring this onto the screen, but let me check. So I don't know if I can drag this out. No, I can't. It's not letting me. Somebody in our amazing community is making the Anfield Agenda logo for us carved out of a piece of solid stone. And when it's finished, I'll show you the picture. We've been sent some updates on it. Connor has been the one emailing back and forth with this person, so I don't even know their name to say thank you. But I shared it in the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp. And if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It looks so damn cool. And I'm eternally grateful to this person for it as well. It's going to, in my opinion, when we get this, it's going to go on the wall of our office when it's built in the back garden, on the outside wall as a kind of welcome. It looks incredible. Check out the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp if you do want it. There's the QR code there. It was the last post I put on there. But I'm so grateful to people like that, you know, that they think enough of you to reach out to offer something like that to you, to do your logo out of a solid piece of stone, man. The technical and craftsmanship is just amazing. I'm so humbled and blown away by it, and I'm so excited. Billy said, I saw that on WhatsApp. It's so cool. I'm in awe of people that are that talented. You know, I am the least creative human being in the world with my hands. Like, I'm just not blessed in that way at all. But I'm blown away by it. I'm so excited. When do you think we should start Isak? Oh, he's starting tomorrow in my mind, John. And I'd be amazed if he isn't. You know, Ekatike is suspended, so it's almost forced the manager's hand. So for me, I think Isak gets 60, and then maybe Fede comes on for the last 30, something like that. Maybe Jaden Dans will be in the squad, I don't know. But yeah, he's gonna play, definitely. Can we see your background without the green screen? I think I have a picture of it. 1 second. It literally is just a green screen, like on a wall, so it's not too exciting, too much to see. I'm not sure if I have a picture of it here. Give me 2 secs. I'm scrolling back through all my photos. I don't think I have one, you know. Yeah, I don't think I have one without the background. Yeah, I don't. Sorry, it's nothing exciting. Honestly, it's just, oh, here's one. I've got one. Here we go. Oh, these things are always huge. I always take ages to have to minimize them. Bear with me. There you go. Like I said, it's not that exciting. Let's make it a tiny bit smaller again. Yeah, there you go. That's where I work. Yeah, so that's my workspace there. So as you can see, I've got my TV on a bracket above my monitor. I've got a curved monitor. We've since changed the camera that's there, so it's a different camera. The computer that powers it all is a Mac Studio, which is that silver box in the bottom left corner. Yeah, and that's it. That's behind the scenes of what we do. So yeah, there you go. It's not too interesting, like I said, but yeah, that's what it looks like without the green screen. But like, it wasn't that way at the start. Oh God, it wasn't that way at the start. God, back in the early days, very different setup. I'm going to show you something now. 1 second. Where is it? I always smile at this photo. Where are you? It's like on a memory lane, flying through all your old photos. Yeah, this one. This one always makes me laugh. That's the early days of the channel. So as you can see, that was in my bedroom. I had shoe boxes because, you know, money was tight. I had a Mac Air, and then a fake wallpapery thing with brick wall behind me. Shoe boxes to hold up the camera and the computer. My inhaler still there beside me, as you can see, can of Diet Coke, a little ring light, and that was me tucked away in the corner of our bedroom. So yeah, we went from that to that. From just plugging away and adding a few bits bit by bit, and yeah, here we are. And then the next step is moving into building a studio in the back and moving into a studio that will give us a sofa space to do stuff, a space to stand up and record, another green screen area. So yeah, that's the journey. And you know, I will take you, if the build happens at the studio, I'll take you through that step by step as it's happening as well. Yeah, shoe boxes. But you know something about the shoe boxes? Hang on. So Adidas shoe boxes as well, I might say, right there. And even back in that day, right, all the way back then, what t-shirt am I rocking? Adidas. And that was all the way back when, in the early days. Still Adidas. Still Adidas to this day. Right, ladies and gents, I think that's a good point to start to wind us down. So don't forget about our giveaway. If you haven't joined it, we are giving away a signed and framed Diogo Jota shirt. So if you want to enter, get yourselves over to the Anfield Agenda Instagram account and you will see there how to enter. And thank you to our friends at the Collector's Corner as well for giving us that shirt to give away. We'll be announcing the winner during the game against Chelsea. So I will see you guys tomorrow, 1:45 for the 1:45 for the watch along. Enjoy your Friday night. We'll talk soon. Bye bye.